Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel for the ones who have been here before, and welcome to the ones who have not. My name is Janae and I'm the owner of Confidently You Creations. So as stated before in previous videos, we were trying to do a giveaway and the person who won did not claim the cup. So we did another draw and here is the winner. Congrats, girl. Hopefully this person will claim this cup. I guess maybe some people don't get on YouTube as much, or maybe they don't have the notifications on, so maybe she missed it. But I did give it long enough, so hopefully this person will claim the cup. If not, I don't know. So anyways, for today's tutorial, we're going to be doing a cup that was very popular for kind of like that springish, kind of coming out of the winter phase tumbler. It is a Monstera tumbler that a lot of people loved. I have made several of these cups and a lot of people wanted to know how I make them. So if you haven't noticed already, I kind of like to make tumblers that are beautiful but like not expensive to make, because everybody doesn't have, you know, a whole bunch of money to dump into something and it like not sell or something, you know what I mean? So I try to do things crafty but on a budget, I guess you can kind of say sometimes. But so for this tumbler, I actually did it with scrapbook paper. The scrapbook paper was in the store, however the wrap got discontinued. So if you don't see it in the store, it's sold out. If you see it in there, hurry up and grab it, because I come across them few far and in between. But anyways, I think that's all the announcements that I have for this week. And if there's anything that you guys ever want to see that you haven't seen me make already, just you can send me an email, or you can just link it in the comments, put it in the comments below, and I will try my best to make your request. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and get into this tutorial. So first, as always, we're going to start off with a fully sanded and prepped tumbler. I spray painted mine Eden by Rustoleum, and I just did one coat on here, and so now I'm ready to put my scrapbook paper on the cup. This scrapbook paper again was listed in our site. If you find it there, grab some, because it is hard to come by. They're few far and in between. So we're going to start off by measuring the tumbler. You want to measure the circumference of it to know how much to cut off. And then you're going to take those same measurements and you're going to mark on your scrapbook paper where you want to trim it. All right, after that, you're going to kind of like line it up with the tumbler to make sure that your cut was pretty accurate. And then you're going to take your marker and mark off the top part where you have the extra amount, and you just want to trim that off. It doesn't have to be like, you don't have to like really measure it, just kind of mark it a little bit at the top to where you can cut it. After that, you're ready to go ahead and put this on with your Modpodge or whatever adhesive method you decide that you want to use. I put the Modpodge on the paper when I don't make a mess. I put it on the paper because it's easier to move around when it's on the cup. If you put the Modpodge on the cup, the paper is dry, so it's hard to move the paper around if you know, if it's not even, if it's crooked, and you know, things like that. So I put it on the paper to make the paper wet to where it'll kind of glide up and down the cup just like that. So then after you get it on, you're going to want to firmly press everything to make sure you don't have any bubbles. So you're going to keep doing this until the paper is dry, or until the Modpodge is dry. Just roll it around, press it, you know, every which way, every angle, and then you can just roll it around like a rolling pin to make sure all the bubbles stay out. And this is very important because if you don't press it or roll it, you know, your air bubbles can get in there because it's still wet underneath there. So whenever you push it down, it can rise up again. So this is very important to do this until it's dry. All right, and once it's dry, you'll be able to feel it. Once it's dry, it won't feel, you know, like wet underneath it because we did kind of soak that paper. You're going to trim your rim and your bottom. So I have a cup edging tool that I got from Amazon, and if you want one, there's one linked in my Amazon storefront, which I've linked it down below, so you can purchase one. They are super, I mean, it comes in handy. Like, I love this thing. But if you don't have one, you're going to want to place some masking tape, some painter's tape, not masking tape, good gracious, some painter's tape around the bottom, to where you can use your crafting knife and then cut evenly along that painter's tape line. Okay, so as you can see here, my cup edging tool, it doesn't like score or scour the tumbler when you're cutting it, so that's great. But this little piece, I guess it skipped once I was turning it, so I'm just going to take that back across the cup edging tool here just to get that little piece off, and then voila. Now for the top part, you're going to do the same thing, but first you're going to remove that extra amount from the top. You want to do that first, or you can fold it over, whichever you prefer. It's, no best way to do it, but I like to just trim mine off to move it out of the way. If it was vinyl, I may go ahead and fold it over, but the paper is a little bit more harder to kind of fold over and let it stay. So I'm just going to do the same thing with the cup edging tool, trim that bad boy off, and we're done with that. So now you're going to want to seal this paper with Modpodge, or again, whatever sealing method you decide that you want to use. I use Modpodge. And the reason why you want to seal it is because once you go to place epoxy, if you just place epoxy right on top of this, the epoxy would soak the paper. So it will look wet. It would look, it just wouldn't look very cute because you'll have some spots that like soaked in the epoxy really, like a bit much, and then you have other places where it may not have soaked it in, at all. So it just will look very blotchy. So what you want to do is take 2 to 3 layers of Modpodge and do this. So now I'm just going to go in with the second coat here. You can see it's nice and glossy, and it actually looks kind of cute like this, right? But I'm going to go ahead and go in with another coat of Modpodge. Same thing I did. Make sure you get the edges and the like the bottom rim where the paper and the paint kind of meet there. You want to do this again for a 3rd time before you actually go in with epoxy. And you're going to want to let each layer dry for about an hour between the first coat and the second coat. The more layers of Modpodge you apply, the longer it's going to take to dry. So the 3rd coat, I actually let that one dry overnight or for like 3 hours to make sure it's completely dry. And then once I was ready to epoxy, here's my epoxy additive. I will link that down below for you guys. And I just mixed my epoxy and then added the epoxy additive to the epoxy. And I went ahead and added 2 coats of epoxy to the tumbler so I can go ahead and apply my decals. So once it's all said and done, I sanded my rim like we always would, and it looks pretty good, right? So the first layer of epoxy was glitter, and then the second layer was just a clear coat, just, you know, FYI. So now we're ready to put our decals on. We've sanded our rim and we made sure everything was nice and smooth. And we're putting on these leaves and Monstera leaves that I printed off just from Cricut. So if you just type in Monstera, it'll pop up. And then just some regular leaves. For the lines, I cut those out at 0.15 for like the width, and then the length is whatever your tumbler measurement is, which I think I just cut mine at 10 just to have some overlap there, just some extra just in case. So I'm just going to place this along the bottom, not too far down where it starts to kind of curve. You don't want it that low, but I did place it kind of like right above, in between the line of where the scrapbook paper and the paint was. But you want to make sure it's straight. I cannot stand like a crooked line. So you're gonna do the same thing for the top, and I usually overlap my strip just slightly, because sometimes epoxy, or you know, I just don't like to trim it like right on the line, because sometimes you can actually see that the line of where you trim. So I usually overlap it just a little bit onto the other side. All right, so first you're going to want to place the name. If you're putting a name on the cup, you want to place that one first. Therefore, you can place all the other cute little leaves around it. So I'm just going to get my scraper tool and go ahead and burnish the back of that so I can put the name in the middle. After I place it there, I always measure to make sure that the decal is straight. It's nothing like a crooked decal that you gotta print over again. So once everything is nice and straight, I use the hinge method and I cut one side off and place that side down firmly, and then I lift the other side up and take that paper backing off, and then I'll place the other side on. I did kind of mess up here a little bit on the M because this font is so super thin, but no worries, we fixed it. All right, so once that is on, we can go ahead and do the fun part, which would be placing our leaves. So for the leaves, I did do offsets for them. So as you can see here, like that silver leaf and this one is an offset. So I completely just printed I just wanted the offset of it, but I actually used the inside version of that offset. I'm not sure if that makes sense. If you ever printed something with an offset, you know that it has to come with that inside piece too. So therefore I used both in one. I didn't just need the offset because if I would have just used the, regular leaf and just cut that out, I would just have the regular leaf, and then I would have to go back and print the offset for it. So I just knocked it out all in one. I'm not sure if that all makes sense, but for you who have used the Cricut before and know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. So I have a way with the words sometimes, I don't know, but I'm just gonna place these all around the tumbler, and until I am happy with how everything looks. But I was not happy with the way the mama, that decal in the middle, because the look kind of washed out. So I did end up removing the name off of it and printing it again with an offset in the back to kind of make it pop a little bit more, because I just was not happy with how everything else around it looked cute and it popped, but I just was not feeling that single name, and it was just super thin. So we'll go ahead and recut that, and then we'll put it back on. All right, so now I'm happy with how it looked. I'm just going to go ahead and I already placed the words on the offset off camera, but you guys see me do that before in other videos as far as layering it. Not hard at all to do. You would just take the gold version and lay it on top of the white vinyl, and then place it on the tumbler. This time I didn't measure it. I just because I already had a spot for it, so I just placed it in the spot where I took the other version of it off. Still has some empty space there, so I did add another leaf. And after that, this tumbler was pretty much done. It does have a lot of vinyl on here, so you do want to make sure to seal it with either like some Modpodge, or if you have counterculture like that base, I'll link it down for you guys below. If you have that, use that, because it is a lot of vinyl. And here is the ending result. Sorry it's sideways, but I wanted you guys to take an up close look at it. Thank you guys as always for staying to the end of the video. I really do appreciate it. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you have not already. We upload every Friday, so we will see you next week.